Just look at him. So sleek, so powerful, so beautiful.
There is a bit of a backlash brewing against Marvel and Disney. I've noticed it ever since Avengers Endgame, some of the things that's happened since then, and some of the stuff surrounding the recent Comic-Con. There is sort of an undercurrent beginning to grow of people who are kind of getting sick of Marvel and a lot of people who really don't like Disney. And you know, I think this is something that DC should actually weaponize to take down their great cinematic rival in superhero movies, the MCU. You see, whenever something becomes as big as Marvel is, where it's so massive, it's so giant, it's so successful, it's so mainstream, that also opens up an avenue of people who kind of get sick of it. And mockery is a very powerful tool. We all love to see an underdog mocking someone who is in a position of power. We love the combination of mockery and bravado that comes from an underdog hurling insults at a much larger, much more powerful foe. It's a great spectacle, we all love to see it. And let's be completely honest here, there's a lot that you can make fun of with the Marvel universe, and with Disney as a whole. The Marvel formula that they use in almost every movie, the fact that Disney is buying up bloody everything, how Disney deliberately pushes out smaller movies from cinemas by taking up way more screens than they actually need to, the lack of creativity in remaking the old movies, and the ever-increasing preachiness of them putting their politics into movies. And let's not forget the fact that Marvel could film a dog turd on the side of the road for 2 hours, slap the Marvel logo onto it, and everyone at Comic-Con is still gonna cheer like brainless zombies anyway. There's a lot about Marvel that you can make fun of. Remember that Rick and Morty episode called The Vindicators? The whole thing was a parody for the Avengers, and Rick just spent the entire time ripping on all of their cliches. That was great. So imagine if DC called Marvel out for their actions in their movies. Imagine if they openly mocked and ridiculed Marvel for some of these things. But how could they even do such a thing in a DC movie? Well, the DC and the Marvel comics have always taken shots at each other. They've mocked each other's cliched storylines, they've stolen each other's characters. Sometimes they've even created characters whose entire purpose is to make fun of their counterpart in the other comic series. DC now needs to do that in their movies to turn the table on Marvel and start making fun of them. They gotta be the underdog and hurl these stones at this Goliath-like Marvel. DC needs to create an in-universe movie company that is specifically designed to be a parody of the MCU, to be a parody of Marvel. Maybe they could call it like Dazzle, a fictional movie cinematic universe that can exist in the background of the DCU that endlessly ridicules the Marvel universe and that all of the DC characters can hate and despise. I could totally see Flash hating on the Dazzle movies for some of the reasons that I just said. Batman would no doubt hate all of them for there never being any long-lasting consequences in these Dazzle/Marvel movies and problems just being solved at the last minute by a snap of the fingers. Wonder Woman could be used to mock some of the fake strong women characters in these Dazzle movies, calling them out as simply being tokenism. Maybe Green Lantern hates the Dazzle movies and the characters because their powers aren't earned, they're always given to them. Superman could hate on these Dazzle characters for being terrible role models, that they don't actually teach kids any real values, that apart from looking cool and punching stuff, they don't actually stand for anything, they don't actually convey any better message of morals or ethics or goodness that can actually be useful to kids in real life, which is all true criticism. Maybe people in the DC universe don't appreciate the Justice League's real heroism because they're holding them up to these dumb, unrealistic standards of the Dazzle movie superheroes. And the contrast between the Dazzle/Marvel characters and the DC superheroes would really emphasize the fact that as entertaining as these Marvel movies are, the characters are basically just empty shells. They don't really stand for anything. They're basically just money cows to be milked for a gullible public. If they got some smart writers with some real sort of sarcastic wit to write these sort of Dazzle skits that would take place in the DC movies, it could be a devastatingly damaging hit to Marvel in real life, especially if they even reference real life shady practices of Marvel/Disney, like how Disneyland is supposed to be the happiest place on earth, yet a lot of their employees are underpaid and have to sleep in their own cars. car. Maybe they could parody how Disney pushed Rotten Tomatoes to censor the negative reviews of Captain Marvel. Of course, they'd have to change the names Disney and Rotten Tomatoes to something else, but we would all understand what they mean. Remember the real-life legal battle between DC and Marvel over the rights to use the name Captain Marvel? Because that's what Shazam was called in the comics. He was called Captain Marvel. He'd only say Shazam when he's going to transform into his superhero self. So he couldn't go around saying, I'm Shazam, because every time he'd say the word Shazam, he'd transform back again. But of course, Marvel wanted that name for their Captain Marvel, so there was a big legal battle about it. And this creates a problem in the DC universe, so he can never actually say who he is, because he can't say I'm Shazam, because then he changed back to a kid. That's why in the movie they kept calling him Captain Sparklefingers or the Red Menace or whatever they called him. So maybe they could use that. Maybe they could make it that Shazam in the DC movies is being sued by Dazzle over the rights to use the name Shazam. That's why he's not allowed to say he's Shazam in the movies, because he might get sued by Dazzle, mocking the entire situation and making Marvel look like a bunch of humorless killjoys. Just imagine the spectacle of DC having the gall to mock Marvel in such a hilarious and truthful way in their own movies. It would be a spectacle to behold. I would love to see Marvel taken down a few pegs in this way, and it certainly wouldn't help DC's chances either. People would love it, because people always love the spectacle of the little guy throwing stones at the big guy. We love to root for the underdog. And the beautiful thing is, there's nothing Marvel could do about it. What can they do? I mean, if they get angry about it, that just gives DC even more material that they can parody in the next movie. And what, is Marvel gonna then create a fictional version of the DC universe in their Marvel universe? I doubt it, but even if they did, that'd be even more spectacle for us. Mockery and bravado, my friends. That is what DC needs to use to take down the Marvel Disney juggernaut. It is their secret weapon, and I would love to see it happen. So let me know what you think in the comments section below. I am Bandit, this is Bandit Incorporated. Until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.